Okay guys, let's start. So today we will talk about strings in Python. Before we already saw them and we just briefly touched them. But today we will learn a little bit more. We will learn about some helpful conversions between strings to lists, from lists to strings, because it's usually very helpful to use these methods when we are working with data in Python. So yeah, and last time we looked on the lists and tuples, and basically so there are some similarities between all these iterable objects, and the similarities are that the lists have, for example, some methods, tuples also have methods, and in reality strings also have methods. We can also use the indexing and slicing for strings as we did it for the lists and tuples. And also we can iterate through elements inside of the list string by using the for loop. So let's create a folder for today's lesson, and I'll open it in the Visual Studio Code. And let's just take a look on some methods that are available for strings. So I'll call it string methods.py, and let's create some string. Yeah, basically I will just go over the same stuff that are on the website, but I'll just type it myself today to make it a little bit slower than usual. So we can, for example, get the string and then convert it to the uppercase. And to accomplish it, we should use the methods. And let's apply a method which is called upper. And now we can print the result of the method. So as you can see, we had a random text, and then to apply some method, I need to put dot after the string. In my case, string is assigned to a variable, so I put the dot, and then I used the upper method, and after that this statement gonna create a new string. It's not gonna change the original string, it's gonna create a new string and assign this value to upper text. An important part about the strings that they are immutable. So you remember that lists are mutable. That means that we can change individual elements inside of the list. But for example, when we try to change specific element of a tuple, we had a problem. And in the same way, if we're gonna try to change some specific character inside of the string, we will see that we will face an error. So I'll show you a little bit later. For now, let's just execute this code. And you can see so that we had our original string, and then we converted it to the uppercase. We can try, for example, to change it a bit, just to show you that when we run the method, it's not changes the original value. So for example, if I just call text upper and I don't assign result of this statement to any variable, and then I want to print text as after running this method. So if I do it, you can see so that the original value did not change. And basically this statement, as I already mentioned, it generates a new string, and then we can assign it to the variable. So for example, if you want to replace the previous value, we should use assignment operation again. So we should say that text now is equal to text.upper. And now if we run it, we change the text. I will remove this part, or okay, I'll keep it, but I'll just comment it. This one I will uncomment. And let's also take a look at, for example, we can make a lowercase text In this case, we need just like to run the lower method. And basically there are like a bunch of different methods, and you need like just to, for example, how I deal with this situation. I usually just going to the website where I can just check what kind of methods are exist. So for example, this is a website where you can find all different methods which are like exist in Python, and you can just utilize them because they are like built in with the strings. And for example, you can go over all these methods. As you can see, there are like plenty of them. I will show you just today some specific ones which are like I usually use a lot when I program, but in general there are like some other things that you can also kind of remember and then utilize in your programs. And you can see that you can, for example, convert the first character to uppercase, convert string into lowercase, and there are like a bunch of them. So you can count occurrence of some specific character inside of the string. And yeah, basically, so how I do, for example, some of them I remembered by heart, but other I usually just Googling and checking that they exist, and then I can use them in my code. So and now, for example, let's just convert it to the lowercase. Let's check how it looks like. And as you could expect, we just changed the first character because all other characters already were in the lowercase before we ran this program. And now, so one method that I really like, it's we can, for example, split the whole string by a specific character that we can specify and split it into parts and store it as a list of strings. And for example, we can create the new variable, let's call it words, and now I will split our string into small parts. And let's split lower text, for example, split, and by default split function will split by the white space character. Yeah, you can see, so there is some explanation. So if we don't specify the separator of our split function, it will automatically split on any white space character, including like a new line symbol, and there are like some different symbols which are like similar to white space. So, and let's just run it and let's check what are inside of the words after we ran this statement. So, and you can see that we got our kind of parts of our string. We get like random text, and now they stored as a list of strings, because in general before that it was a string, but now we got the lists. And it's like very helpful because, for example, usually you have like files, and in files there are like different ways how files could be organized, but regularly we are going to work with text files, for example, comma separated files, tab separated values, because it's very common to store the data like spreadsheets in the way of CSV or TSV files, and then we will read them. And kind of by default, usually if we don't use any external libraries, we will read them as a strings, as a text, and then we can split the values by, for example, specifying that these are like comma separated values. Let's split by a comma, and then we will get like the whole row from our spreadsheet, and then we can perform different operations. So we can, for example, assume that we have line, and this line is like a comma separated values. So let's say that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something very simple. And now I can create a new variable. So let's call it like values. And let's split now all our values by the comma. So I can like pass the argument here as a comma. And now I will comment this part, guys. And now we have like a list of strings, and basically we read all our values. It's like as a kind of example. So let's say that we read the line from the file, from comma separated CSV file, and then we read one line. And now, for example, if we know that all values are float, we can now convert them to a float. To do it, so we can create a, or we can just like go, as you remember, through the all values by using the for loop. And now values I is equal float of values I. And now if I like run the code, you can see that now we can read the original values, we convert it to the float values, and later on you can perform different operations on the values. And this is a very nice way of how you can convert string into list, basically by using the split function. Yeah. So in the same way as we did before, so I'm gonna or I will just like continue. So we can calculate the length of the string by using the length function, as we saw with the lists and tuples. Basically, so if you have like iterable object inside of the Python, and iterable means that it's the kind of as a collection of elements. It could be like ordered, unordered. We will see some examples of unordered data too. Right now we are like working with the data which are like always ordered. It means that there is like indexing, which for each index we have a specific value in specific order. And for all of these data types, we can utilize the built-in function length to calculate the length of the iterable object. And so it perfectly works with a line. So let's run it. And you can see that the length of our line is 13. So basically we counted each character. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the finish. And we can get it here. And then so we can like iterate through each character, for example. And as I said, we cannot, for example, change individual element inside of the string. So if we want like to change it, we need like to create a new string, and kind of in process of creation we need like to adjust it. So for example, if I want to change the first character of my line from 1 to 0, and I trying to use this statement, so I'm gonna face with an error. And as you can see, so string object does not support item assignment, so which means that we cannot change characters of the list. But you can kind of achieve this behavior. So if you want like to change some element, in this case you can run the replace method, and we need like to specify what we want to change. I want like to change, for example, the 1 to a 0, and I need like to assign it to the line, because as I mentioned, so always all methods with strings, they are like creating a new objects. They are not like changing the original object itself. And now if I run it, you can see that we changed the first character in our string. And in reality, you can specify here the string, not just like one character. So for example, if you want like to change the substring of original string, we can specify it like if I want to change like 1, 2 and just put 0 there. We can do it also, and you can see that after that we converted string from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there are like a bunch of different methods, so you can practice, you can play around them to take a look how they work. Yeah, and now let's take a look on the example how to convert list to string. So list to string, and let's create a list. I'll put some values here. And now, in case if you want like to convert it to the string, so I'll call it like a line, we can utilize also the string method which is called join. And how it works, so we need like to specify a separator in the beginning. So let's say that I want like to create a string and separate all values which are like in my list by a underscore. In this case, I need like to specify this underscore as a separator, and after that, utilize the join method for this string. And inside of the join, I need like to so I should provide the iterable object of strings. In my case, it's like fruits. And now when I print line, you can, oh, sorry. So you can see that we converted the list to a string. We also can verify that it's indeed string by using the type function. And you can see so that we created a string with specific class. And for example, if you want like to kind of revert the split operation, because by default when you use split function, it like assumes that you want to split your string by the white spaces, you can just specify white space here, and then you will revert the split function that you used before for the string. And this is a kind of two-way operation. Yeah, so let's just kind of check that it's like really kind of two methods which are usually can be considered one as the inverse for another one. So now let's say that I have line. I will comment this part. And line is apple, banana, and cherry. And now I want like to create a list. So, and in this case, I can utilize a split function as we saw before. And I need like to provide a separator here. So, and I want to separate by comma white space. And let's just print fruits now. And also let's print the type of the fruits. And let's execute it. So as you can see now, we converted like we had like a string, we converted it to a list, and this is our like two methods which are like I use very often in my programs. And just as an example, let's say that we have some input. For example, in your programs, you will see like at homeworks that we need like to read values separated by white spaces and then perform some operations on them. So let's say that we want like to read the input, and then I want like to split it by the white spaces. And then, for example, I want to, so I showed you the list comprehensions, right? Last time. It's like as a way when we put the for loop inside of the list, and it's like as a way to create lists in very kind of fancy way. I think we had it. So
yeah, maybe if you remind us, we will remember.
Yeah, so basically, let's just check the example. So here we have, I'll just print the values for now. I will do it like step by step to make it more clear and explicit. So right now our program waits from us like for some input, and let's specify it. So I will put like some values from 1 to 5, and you can see that we read it, and now we store them as a strings. But let's say that I want like to kind of now convert it to the float data type, and we can utilize for loop and go over it, but it's gonna cost us like multiple lines. We need like to write all this stuff. But in reality, we can even put it probably into one line. Yeah, so it's like a, and I want like to convert element for element in input split, something like that. So let's just execute it. Let's check that everything works, and then I'll explain what is happening here. But basically, this is a example of list comprehension, and we saw it before that we can create lists by using such type of things, syntax, where we specify that we have some iterable object. So this is our iterable object because we read the input, then we split it, and the result of this statement is a list of strings. And now we go through each element inside of the list of strings. Basically, it means that each element is a string, and we convert it to the float data type. And let's just run it, and let's put the same values. And now, as you can see, we don't have like a quotes. That means that we now have a float data type in our list. And this is a very nice way of reading the line. And then if you need like to split it by white space and convert it to the float, you can achieve it in this way. And then after that, for example, you can calculate the mean value as a, like for example, in the beginning, this is like a 0. And then we can go for element in values, mean value plus equal element. And now we just need like divided by the len of the values, right? And then we can print the mean value. Or we can even put it in this way. So let's run it. It waits for the input. So as you can see, we provide the input, which are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we calculated the average value inside of the list. Yeah, in reality, there are like some functions which you are like can use in reality to achieve the same thing, but in a more efficient way. So, for example, if you need like to sum up all values inside of the iterable object, in reality, Python has a specific built-in function which called like a sum. I will comment this part, but you can still take a look on it. So if I need like to calculate the sum of values, so for example, sum, let's call it somehow total sum is equal, and now we can utilize the built-in function which is called like sum. We can provide the iterable object. In our case, it's a list of floats now, and then it will calculate the sum of all elements inside of the list. Now I put the same thing, and as you can see, so we calculated the sum of all elements. So which is true. If you know the trick that you need like to sum the first value with the last one, it's like 6 multiplied by 5, 30, and we need like to divide it by 2, so it's like 15, which means that the sum of these elements is indeed 15. So it works correctly. And because of this function, sum, we can in reality calculate the average value, like a mean value, in one line. So it's going to be sum of values divided by length of the values. And I can comment this part and just print the mean values. So you can see that we achieved the same kind of result as we had here, but just inside of the one line because of the nice built-in function sum. So let's run it. And you can see so that the result is the same. So basically, it's a very handy function. Because in reality, so also I will just today like mostly kind of some tricks that I'm usually using and I'm showing to you. So now, for example, we can count some things by some conditions. So for example, let's say that I now want to measure how many even numbers we have inside of the list, right? So let's call it in some other like showcase.py, because it's like a little bit off topic of the strings, but at least we are like reading string in the beginning, so there is like some amount of utilization of strings. So I will copy and paste this part. So I want like again read something from the input, but now I will convert it to the integer, and then I want to measure, just as an example, how many integers I have inside of the list. And I will show you how we can achieve it through the sum function. So this is our values. We converted them to the integers. And now let's create a new list, and I'll call it is even. And now I just need like to check that the element is even. So to do it, let's check that we can put, for example, something like that. True if element modulo 2 is equal to 0, else false. In reality, we can even omit this part, but I will keep it for explicit, like to make it more explicit. And for element in values. So now let's print is even after like values. So the same values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. I need like to execute showcase. As you saw, I like executed the previous file. And now, so here's our result, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's like our input. And then we so we made as a Boolean mask for our list. And so you can see that the first value is not even because it's like odd number. Then we have even number, odd number, even number, odd number. And in reality, so this like Boolean masks is a very powerful tool, because later on at some moment you will start working with NumPy arrays, which are like arrays for numerical Python, and they're like used everywhere in data analysis. They're like there are like two main components of the data analysis, like a basic data analysis in Python. It's a NumPy module and also data frames. And sometimes you need like to filter out some kind of rows by specific condition. And usually you're like creating a Boolean mask, something like that, and then you can provide it as a indexing, like to filter out some specific rows from the data table. And usually something like that. And now, so if we want like to count the number of the even numbers inside of the list, so what can I do? And as a hint, so I want to utilize the sum function and get the result. So guys, what are your RD ideas? Yeah, you even can play like in your Visual Studio Code, you can try to somehow utilize some function. So this is basically right now our variables, and we need like to count how many even numbers we had like in original list. So you can play around, I will just wait, and then for example I will give you 5 minutes, and if we still don't have any ideas, then I will just we will try to do it together as a team.
Yeah. So the task is to understand how many elements there were in the original list.
So the task is like to count how many even numbers were in original list. So for example,
how many even numbers?
Yeah, so for example, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's supposed to be 2, because there are like just two even numbers, 2 and 4.
Yes,
And we want like and we want to use the sum function to achieve it.
Okay, let's try.
So yeah, and just as one more hint, for example, if I have something like that, let's write, I will comment all parts for now, then I will comment. So for example, if I write something like that, true plus true, let's check what's gonna be as a result. So, and you can see, so if we sum up logical data types, at the end we get the integer as a result, because there is a type conversion, as you remember. So when we convert, like, for example, true to the integer, it's gonna be converted to the 1, but false is converted to 0. So if we put, for example, plus false, we'll still have 2, because when we try to convert true to the integer, we convert it to the 1. It's like some hint.
Yeah. Is there any operator like skip? Yeah, because like we could change the second line, creating this is even list. Yeah, and true if the element is divisible by 2. Yeah, and else something like skip. No.
So you mean like to skip values which are not even, right?
Yes.
And just to
yes.
keep. So it's possible solution, yeah. But so.
And then we have this length of this.
Yeah, that's
even.
true. So you are saying something like that, and basically, so it's true. It's possible to do it like, but in this case, we will not use the sum function. We will use the length function, right? So
yes.
And to do it, so let's call it evens, and in this way we put like element for element inside of the values. And if you need like to skip, you can specify the condition after the this
yeah,
part.
but can we use the line that we have, like is even, yeah, is true if the element kind of is divisible by 2.
Yeah. So yeah, we need like to put it here. So if
else,
element,
yeah.
So yeah, if element is divided by 2, then you want to put the element. So now let's just print the evens. And now, for example, if I read it, you will
so without else, yeah.
Without else. So because this one is like as a filtering out, so it's like saying that if something doesn't meet the criteria, we will filter it out. And in reality, so yeah, we saved all events number to the kind of smaller list, and then we can calculate the number of them by using the length function. That's true. Yeah. And so just as a other example, how we can achieve it with the previous solution that we had. So now we have, again, we have our list, and then we have like as a Boolean mask. And now if I need like to count how many entries, how many like true entries inside of it, in reality, you just need like to use some function with the list. So let's run it. And you can see that the result is again 2, because when we sum up all these values, so we are trying to convert the first value to integer. And as I showed you before, if we have this like a sum of the Boolean data types, at the end we're gonna get the integer number, and because of that we're gonna get false, true, false. And this is a very nice way of how you can, for example, count something which meet your criteria. And in reality, you can utilize exactly the same statement in R, because in R there is also function sum, and if you have like an array of Boolean data types, you can write sum of something and get the final amount of correct entries. And in reality, so if you need like just get a number right away, you can adjust this part. So let's print just like number right away. And to do it, we will have like sum, and then now let's count how many values greater than 2 inside of our input. So in this case, it's like element is greater than 2 for element in values. So and now if I run it again,
Yes.
we got 3, because 3 is greater than 2, 4, 5, so something like that. But your solution also like very correct. I mean, like, so it's in reality, so when you're like working with different tasks, there are always multiple ways how you can achieve the final result. Yeah, and I just like kind of try to, you know, like to narrow it down to say that let's just try to use some function. But in real life, usually you have like plenty options. You're not limited, right? Usually you are limited by the efficiency of your solution, and it's like another kind of problem that you need, like, for example, sometimes need to know specific algorithms which are like more fast rather than others. But this you're gonna learn, I think, during the course of discrete math, and there is gonna be some algorithms. At some moment you will start learning algorithms in bioinformatics about like, I mean, it's probably later on, about the, for example, the algorithms for alignment of strings, something like that. And you will also learn about which are like efficient, which are not probably the best option. Yeah, so that's it for the split. Also, in case if you want like to split, for example, the string by each character into the list, in this case you don't need like to use any split function. So let's call it string to list, and we have our line, and let's say that it's like hello world, typical example. And now I want like to split it into list, and I will call it characters. And I would like to get the list of each individual character. In this case, you need like to use the list function. And now we are trying to convert string to list by using the type conversion. And now let's execute it. And you can see, so we converted the original string into the list so I mean, like, now each character, it's like a separate element inside of the list. And now, for example, if you need, you can change some values inside of this list. So for example, if we want like to change the first character by, I don't know, W, and then print the result, we changed it. So it's not like a best way, so in reality it's better to utilize replace method, but it's just as an example that you can convert your list to the, you can convert your string to the list, and then you have more flexibility with access to the individual elements. Okay, now let's talk about formatting in Python. So formatting, it's also regularly used thing. So, and we will use it through the f strings. So Python has f strings. It's a specific syntax which allows us to perform string formatting. And let's just copy and paste some example, and I will explain you what is happening here. So let's say that we have two variables. The first one is a name, we put some name here, and also we have a age as a number. And now we can use the f string in Python to format the string. And what does it mean? So here is our string, and here we have like as a placeholders, and we can pass to these placeholders any variables that we have outside, and then this gonna be replaced by the value of the variable that we had before in the code. So let's just execute this part. And you can see so that we put some specific parts inside of the string. And this is just as a simple example. And in reality, we can like put whatever we want, like I mean any variable inside of these curly braces. Also, we can even put some comments inside of it. Yeah. So you can, for example, put like name, replace, or like let's say that I want like to make it upper. Or maybe it's not a good idea. Yeah, let's keep it in this way as it was. For example, for age, let's say that I want like to add 5 for age somehow. I don't know why. And you can see so that we really executed the operation inside of the curly braces. Yeah, and basically, yeah, the idea that you can then, for example, have the input, enter your name. And also, for example, int input, enter your age. Yeah, and let's now remove this part. And so yeah, my name is, for example, Vladimir, and my name is my age is 30, right? And it's like, okay, so this is your string, and this is an example of the formatting, and it's very nice because otherwise, for example, let's say that we want to achieve the same result without f strings, right? And possible way to do it would be, let's take a look on a couple examples. So we can write my name is, and then plus name plus and I am plus age. We need to convert it to string plus years old. So something like that. Let's comment this part. And I will just hard code the values. Not to put them over and over again. Yeah, so you can see, and now I have like some issues that I need like also to worry about where I need like to put white spaces, and this is another example how we can do it. Now also, for example, we can do it through the join method. So join method, here I specified my separator, and now I can specify my strings. My name is, then name, then and I am, and then string of age, and then also years old. So another way, right? So, and the result is the same almost. I forgot about dot. So result is the same, but in my mind, these are ugly things, because I mean like they're like working, right? Everything fine, but this one is definitely not very good, because when we using the plus symbol with strings, it's like it's not a very efficient thing, because we are like always creating one string, then we summing another one, we creating. So I mean like usually try to avoid utilizing the plus operator for concatenation of string, especially if you have like a very huge lines, then it's like gonna be a problem. And just like you can see that in terms of the length of the statement, right, the first one is shorter and much easier to understand what is happening. Just like when you're looking on an example, you have this f in the beginning of the string. That means that you want to like to perform formatting inside of the string, and then you have this like placeholders that you are like using. Okay, so that you are using inside of your string. And yeah, so in my mind it's like very nice clean solution, so I can understand what is happening, that I had like a original string, then I put it some variables inside of it. But here, so it's like I need like to figure out that there is a string, then there is a plus, some like variable plus. I mean, like it's like very, very difficult. And even to type it down, it's like also took some time. So just as a encouragement for you to utilize the f strings. So here is another example. I will comment all this part. So if we have like two variables, as I showed you before, we can really embed the code inside of these placeholders. Let's run it. And you can see that it works with the sum of 5 and 10 is 15. So very nice. And also another part which also very cool about f strings, that we can format, for example, numbers in the way that we need. I will comment this part. So guys, as you remember, like in any moment, if you have any questions or if you want like to try something, I don't know, if you have some idea that you're like, oh, maybe it's gonna be interesting to utilize it in my tasks that I have like on the side from another like things, you can also ask. I'm not sure that I'm gonna know the answer, but at least I will try to help you. So yeah, this is let's say that we have some value, float number, and it's like very precise. We have like a lot of kind of values after the dot symbol. But let's say that we want like to print just two values after the dot. And in this case, you can specify the syntax of formatting. So here we have a price. We can put the column symbol and specify that after the dot, we want to have just two numbers. And f, it's like for float. That it means that we will have like a float number. And again, let's execute it. And you can see so that the original value was 49, something like that. And we got a very nice shorter result. And in case if we don't put anything here, so let's say that we just put price, you see that we will have this like huge tail. And sometimes we don't need like to be so like precise when we just want to output the result. But when we perform some calculations with the float numbers in Python, so we will always have this kind of some accuracy, like a machine accuracy in the end. Yeah, so this is about numbers. Yeah, also you can, for example, perform something like that. Let's say that we have a big number and let's utilize this syntax. So in reality, yeah, this is like I'm just cherry picking some specific parts about formatting in Python because it's a big topic in reality. You can find a lot of different ways how you can utilize the formatting, and I just like showing some specific examples. But in reality, it's like more as a kind of brief overview that there exists formatting, and in case if you need like something special, you can always try to find out how to perform it by searching in the internet. And you can see, so we kind of made it more visually distinguishable about the thousand and like all these zeros in our number by utilizing this syntax. And also, so I want to show you that in reality, even just for yourself inside of the code, for example, right now, you need like to count how many zeros here to understand what is the value. I mean, like how I do it, right? So for example, to understand that it's like a million, and I look on the number and then I'm like counting how many zeros inside of the value. But in case if you have like some constant value, for example, let's say that this big number, it's a constant value and it's gonna be constant through the whole code. But this is a number assigned in the beginning of our program, and then if you want like to make it more kind of understandable, you can utilize underscores in the during the specifying the big number in a program. So now it's the same number, nothing happened. It's just like as a visual separation of different parts of the number to make it more clear for the reader. So if I execute it one more time, so everything works in the same way, and the number's still the same. So I didn't like change the number itself. It's like just as a
Yeah, and what if we didn't have these underscores in the big number? Could we kind of split it into parts? There must be some way, right? We had it like this, and we need to put commas between every 3 zeros.
For example, I mean, like if you just need like to convert it in that way, and you want like to have it later on in the pro, so you can, in this case, you can create as a string for this number, and then utilize, for example, join, but you need like to kind of write some code for that as a possible solution. Probably there is like something else, but.
Yeah, because for example, if to put these underscores, it's also a lot of work. Yeah, if we had a lot of numbers, yeah, we would not just do it manually.
Yeah, for example, so as a something that like just came to my mind. So for example, we can have a string number, right? And let's do it as a f big number, and then we can have a replace comma by underscore, and then print like a str number. So when we have something like that, or if you have like even more zeros here, so it's gonna work in the same way.
But we didn't have any commas in the input.
Yeah, yeah. So we put commas. So we put commas by f string, as I showed you here, right? And then I replaced each comma by so yeah, we can, for example, sorry.
And how did the program know that the commas are put are separating every 3 zeros?
This is a magic of the f string. So f string knows where to put them. So I mean, like this is basically kind of built-in function in Python, and it knows like there is an algorithm how it knows. But if you want like to perform it like manually by yourself, right? In this case, you need like for example to measure how many digits you have in general. So we can try, for example, let's try to achieve it, guys. So I will try it on my side. So and you have time to try to do it. So basically the idea is like not to use f string, right? You have a big number, and then after each 3 digits, we want to put any separator. So let's try to achieve it.
Yeah, I asked it because I didn't know that the f string does it.
Yeah, but let's try. It's as a task.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll try it also. You can try it on your side. So and let's then check. So okay, guys, how it's going on?
Yeah, well, so far I got it only for like one number, which is like a big number, and I managed to separate the 3 last zeros in this number. And I suppose that there must be some cycle that could be used, some loop, that could be used to, to use it for the whole number. Yeah, I can share, and probably you could help. Oh, I can't hear you for some reason. Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah, now, yes. Yeah, but maybe someone already has another solution.
Yeah, give me a second. Where is Oh yeah, now you should be able to share the screen. I mean, like,
Sure.
let's check your,
Yeah.
and then so I'll show mine, which is I mean, like, definitely if I had like more time, I would probably do it like in more nice way. But since it's like just like we are not trying to achieve here the
Yeah.
the
So
beauty solution.
yeah. So I had this big number. Yeah, like
Yeah.
input. Yeah. Then I created this Sn. It's like smaller number, which is an integer of big number divided by 1000. Yeah. And then I have this I don't know, P, yeah, which is a string, yeah,
Yeah.
for this, yeah, Sn, yeah, the smaller number plus comma plus 3 zeros,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if we run it, yeah, it seems to work, yeah, like this, and oops, I don't know why, but I run it once again.
You can stop this cell which you have. Yeah, with this one, you can stop it and just put inside of instead of the yeah. You can like press. There is a black box.
Black box. This
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Ah,
So
yeah,
and now
yeah.
you can just put inside of the instead of int input, you can put the real number.
Like here.
Yeah,
Here?
because I mean, like, no, you can just like replace the whole thing, like input, because it waits for some input, but you can just put like 1 0 0 0 0 0 instead of this.
You mean right here?
No, I mean like
No?
so. Let's just put big number equal and then remove the.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just we put some big number here,
Yeah.
and then we run it.
Yeah. So you separated the first three numbers, yeah, and you need like to have
and
a.
I suppose that there can be some loop, yeah, for that, yeah, something like
Yeah.
while true, no?
Yeah, that's true.
But so far I haven't invented a loop.
Okay, so yeah,
for that.
I can show you mine, which is like, I mean, like, I would definitely, if I had like more time, to rewrite it in other way, but just as a kind of, I mean, like, usually you just trying. So how it works, right? So usually you trying to execute anything in the beginning, and then you're like polishing until it's like kind of converges to the thing that you like.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to share my screen. So and basically how I did it, so let's say that we have like big number, right? And I convert it to the string. And here is I'm gonna like store the characters that gonna kind of form my final result. And now I am going through the so enumerate function, which is something that I didn't show you before, but how it works. So this is gonna be index of the element, and this is a element in the string. Also it could be list, so you can like go basically at the same time through the indexing and also through the elements. And here I reverted the string because I need like to put the new symbols after like each three elements, but I need like to put them from the right side going to the left.
Yes.
Because of that I like just kind of revert it, and then I add each character from the string because it's gonna be in the final result. And if my index is divided by 3, right, then I want to add the separator. And basically, now so if I have like a number, so when I run it, you can see that it's adds these symbols after each 3 entries. And in reality, I definitely know that it could be like in more nice way, because it's possible to accomplish it. I mean, like I feel it. I feel that it's possible to accomplish it in more nice way, because if you're honest, I don't like that I created the characters list here and then like added one by one. So probably better is like to go by each 3 elements and get slice of it. I mean, like here replace the iterating part. So I need like to go in reality not through each element, but through the length of the string divided by 3, because I just need like to have in this case five inclusions to add 5 symbols, and basically to achieve it I need like to repeat it, this loop, length of the string divided by 3. But in my case I iterate through each element, and then so basically I can in reality get the slice of this part and insert a new character. Yeah, but just as a kind of first solution that came to my mind, this is one.
Yeah. This works nice. Yeah. And if we look at my solution, can we use any loop for?
So yeah, basically in your solution, yeah, you need like also to have a loop, because right now you just like handled the kind of one case, right? The last one.
Yes.
And you need like to have a loop. Yeah, and in your case, so I believe that this is like something like, as I said, so you need like for e in range and probably length of the, in my case it's number of string divided by 3. So and then we can like for example print I just to check how many times we're gonna execute this loop. And you see that we did it 5 times, right? And then so we can say that we have a chunk of our string probably, and it's like again it should be reverted, and we want to have it from current something like that probably. So it's like I plus 1 I multiplied by 3 probably. Multiplied by 3. So this is a chunk. Let's just print a chunk. So iteration. I'm just want to do it. More clear what is happening. So when it says that yeah, something wrong here definitely, because in the end we need like to have a 1 0.
And while true, this type of loop will not work here.
I mean, it's possible, but yeah, it's still need to. We need like to figure out
how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, so when I is 4, it's like 12, 15. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this one I need like to think about it. I cannot like right away to handle it. Yeah, but in reality, so basically, it's possible to have it done. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look later, and then I'll share it with you. I mean, like in the way that kind of minimize the iterations.
Okay.
So yeah, let's now also take a look on the multi-line f strings that we have. We can have like a multi-line f string. Yeah, I'll just show you the example with multi-line strings. Let's call it f strings. So yeah, this is an example. So for example, if we have name, age, and address, then we can create a multi-line string, f string, by using this syntax. So we open the brackets, and then we put f strings here, and it's gonna work. So yeah, as you can see, so we got like name is Alice, age is 30, and address is like this one. Yeah, also I just want to show you that you can have nested f strings. I'm not sure that it's gonna work with all Python versions, but definitely it works with the latest Python versions. So for example, we have here the value as we had before, and now we can also specify the precision separately. That let's say that we want to have like precision as 2, and then here we just like as regularly put the precision. And now, so in latest Python versions, we can put inside of this like placeholder again another placeholder. So let's execute it, and you can see so that it works as expected. And now we can play around the precision variable. So for example, if you want like to have 3 numbers after the dot symbol, it's gonna work. Yeah, this is just like as an example. Because before I remember like in previous Python versions, you had to put like at some moment there were kind of probably to specify that this is a nested part. Sometimes you need like to put multiple curly brackets. So now it's much better realized, implemented. Yeah, and let's look also at the end on the similarities between list, tuples, and strings. So, and I'll just copy and paste. So, for example, if we have line, which is a string, also we have numbers. So here we used list comprehension to generate numbers. And we have configs, like some tuple with configurations. And now when I run it, so you can see that the len function perfectly works with any iterable object. So we can get the length of the line, we can get the length of the list, and also we can get length of the tuple. Yeah, and now also example similar that we can iterate through each element of the iterable object by using the for loop. So you can see that we iterated through each character here, and because we used the end argument in the print function, we did not put it on each new line. We just put it like back to back to each other. So when we just like printed the string, then we printed the values from the numbers and from the tuple, but we used in all these cases the for loop. We iterated through each element. And also you can check that something inside of the object. So for example, we want to check if happiness is inside of the line of the string, and if the number is inside of the list, and if something is in the tuple. So when you can see that it works perfectly. Yeah, and just like to show you about this part with the enumerator function. So let's say that we want like to check numbers, and I will do it. So for I in element in enumerate numbers, I want to print current index is I, and current element is lm. So when I run it, so you can see that in the beginning, so in reality we can even put them on one line to make it. To have like just one line for each iteration. So, and you can see so that we have the index which corresponds to I, and in the beginning it's like 0, and element is 0 because we used the list comprehension in this way. So we filled numbers with 0, 10 up to 90. 0, 10, 20 and up to 90. So then we have like a next index which is 1 and the value is 10, and up to index 9 and the value is 90. So it's just like as a way to iterate through indexes and at the same time to have a value at some variable, because otherwise we can also do it like, for example, in this way. Let's just copy and paste it. So we can do it that we have just index for e in range len numbers, and then put like element is numbers of I, and it's gonna work in the same way, but this is just kind of a little bit shorter. You don't need like to have extra line inside of the body of your for loop. So yeah, guys, that's it for today. We covered strings. So, and in reality, this like f strings, there are like much more things to show you. I don't know. So at some moment I remember that I had as an example. So I will right now I will run the Python in an interactive mode. So basically it's like now we can, for example, execute statements that we had here, but right away in the interpreter. So for example, 3 plus 3 is like 6, and it's like, it's called interactive way. If you just like run Python, you didn't provide any file, it's gonna open this like interactive shell, and we can right away to put some commands here. And if I remember, so for example, there was a way that we can say that I want to, okay, let's say that we have some value and it's like 10. And now we can do f string of the value and, for example, shift it. You can see that we can like shift the value and have extra white spaces on the left side. Also, you can have it kind of centered to the left, centered to the right, and it's just as an example, because sometimes, for example, if you want like to output a nice table, to format it to have like a same width for each column, then you can use something like that and say that I want like to center all my values on the right or on the left. And there are like much more other stuff that you can learn in the internet about f strings. Yeah, so for example, sometimes, especially it's like, for example, whenever you gonna plot some results, sometimes, for example, you're like calculating the p-value of, so you perform like some hypothesis testing and you got the p-value, and p-value could be like in the scientific notation, and it could be like, for example, 1 point, or how it's like usually it's like, for example, 1 point something, like there are like a lot of numbers, then there is also like e and then minus something. So have you seen such notation, guys, before? No? So for example, that you can like so you can specify values. So for example, the value is 1 3 e minus 10, something like that. So yeah, and this is basically saying that you have a number 1.3 multiplied by 10 in power of minus 10. So it's like a very small number, basically. Yeah, and this is a scientific way of specifying the numbers. And sometimes, for example, you perform some test and it could be, I don't know, a lot of numbers, but you want to have just like as a output 1.3 e, and I mean like just to keep the first 2 digits of it. And in this case also you can utilize the f string method to make it nicer, because for example, why I'm like saying, let's say that we perform like some hypothesis testing and we got this value as a result, it's a p-value, and now we want like to make a plot and we want to put that this is a, for example, title. We checked that there was some gene set and this is a p-value for this gene set, and we don't want to put the whole this like thing, we just want to make it compact. And in this case, we can use the f-string methods in Python to put it on the title of your figure that is gonna be in the paper, right? So yeah, guys, that's it. So if you have any questions, so feel free to ask them. But basically, that's it for today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, guys. So yeah, then I'll see you next week.
See you.